So today I'm making a lentil stew. We made this in our family for most of my life, and it became known as Shaw's lentils due to it being cooked at a holiday at Ocean Shores north of Byron Bay. So there was never any recipe for this lentil stew, but this is my take on it, and I think it's fairly accurate. Alright, so we're going to use 500 grams of red lentil, so it's going to make a good sized batch. This freezes down really well. So first I'll just start getting my pot warmed up. Just got that on high, and I've got 2.5 small brown onions. Just get them peeled and medium diced. Alright, so 2.5 onions, medium dice. Got 5 truss tomatoes, very ripe, give them a wash. And 3 medium-sized carrots. Just give them a peel. And we're going to dice them up into like 1 centimetre cubes-ish. Alright, 3 carrots diced. At this stage I'll go with some avocado oil. You know, enough to give those onions and carrots a little coating. I don't know, 30 ml at the most. So in with our onions. And I've got 2 good sized cloves of garlic, medium size I guess they'd be. Just get them peeled. Half of a large red chilli. Maybe 2/3 for that one. And I'll just slice that up with our chilli. large red chilies are not hot. It's just going to give it beautiful flavour. A little bite, but only very mild. A child could eat this dish, no problem. Alright, so diced up chilli and garlic. Alright, so good sized piece of ginger, I'll just weigh it for you. 137 grams, thereabouts, before it's peeled. Alright, we'll just take the skin off it. Alright, we've got 90 grams of peeled ginger. We'll just take that ginger and dice it up. Okay, so we'll just core our tomatoes. Alright, so we've got 5 cored truss tomatoes. I'm just going to dice these up, cut them in half again. Slice them one way and then across for the dice. Alright, we've got 5 fairly large truss tomatoes diced. We'll just put a touch more oil in there. That's certainly enough now. Okay, and I've got 500 grams of red lentil. Quality lentil, I don't buy them from the supermarket. I get a nice big plump one from a shop that sells quality legumes. We'll just give them a few rinses to wash them off. Alright, so I just washed them 3 times, just until that water isn't milky white. Alright, let's let them in a strainer to drain. Alright, we'll just go in with chilli and garlic now. Alright, so chilli and garlic's been in about a minute. So I've got 4 different spices that I'm going to put in. The main 2 are fennel and fenugreek. So I'll just weigh this. So 1.7 grams of fennel. The fenugreek's a little heavier, so I've gone up to, I put 4 grams of fenugreek. So 1.7 grams of fennel and 4 grams of fenugreek. And just give them a fry off as well. And then I'll put one gram of cumin. Right, it's only the smallest little bit. 1 gram of whole cumin seed. And I'm just using just under a gram of dry red chilli flake. And you know, you can adjust the amount of chilli, but this is not going to be hot at all. It's just going to give really good flavour. Alright, and we always fry off our spices whenever we're using spices. So our spices have been in there frying off a while now. Let's go in with our carrots. And at this point, pinch of salt and pepper. And we're just going to fry with these carrots until they start to sweat. So the original recipe that we cooked at Ocean Shores, it wouldn't have had any of these spices in there. It would have just been the garlic, ginger, maybe a small amount of chili, but certainly the garlic and ginger. And fennel and fenugreek are classic dal seasonings, and you know, a dal like a tur dal or a chana dal, these are just another types of lentils. So fennel and fenugreek go really beautifully with any kind of lentil. So I use just the smallest amount just to give some perfume to this dish. It's certainly not an overpowering amount. You know, this is going to make about 3 litres of stew, and we've just got a few grams of spice in there. So just going to give some aroma to the dish, but it won't be overpowering. Alright, so our carrots are now starting to sweat, as in release moisture. So I'll now go in with our 5 chopped tomatoes. just give those tomatoes a bit of a season. I'm just going to use less than what I think they'll need, but enough to help them break down. And the whole time this pot's been on high, if you're using a gas stove, probably medium, just above medium, be plenty. You don't want anything catching and burning. But in an electric pot with an indirect heat, high is perfect. Alright, we'll just let that come back up to heat. Alright, so at this stage I'll also go with the juice of half a lemon. I'll just let that bubble in there. I've also got a jug of boiling water on. Alright, but this is the base for our lentil stew, the base of flavour. And we'll now go in with our washed red lentils. And these lentils are going to drink up, you know, all of the moisture in there, and I'm going to cover them with water, and as they start to cook, we'll have to keep an eye on it to make sure that there's enough water in there so it doesn't just dry up like it is now. Alright, I'm just waiting for this water to come up to the boil. Alright, and we'll just completely cover them with water, and we're certainly going to need to add more water to this, but for right now this is fine. I'm going to leave it on high heat just for that to come up to a bubble, and then I'm going to turn it down to a medium to low heat. At this time we can just check the liquid for seasoning. And for this dish, I also like to use a small amount of MSG. It's only a very small amount. It's just going to help that tomato base to really stand out. And you can absolutely just leave that out, as you can adjust the amount of chilli, ginger, but this is a good starting point for this recipe. Beautiful recipe. Alright, so we've come up to a boil. Our water level's okay for now. I'll just keep that jug boiled though, because it will need a top up. And I'm just going to turn this down to a medium heat. And I'll just put a touch more water in at this stage. I know it's going to need it. This is going to boil for, you know, at least an hour. And those lentils will soak up that water as they cook. So I'd usually just use one bunch of coriander, but these ones are so small. I've got 2 of them. And I've cleaned out the sink. I'm just going to give these fully covered with cold water. And just give them a little wash just to get any sand off them, and then we'll give them a spin in the lettuce spinner to dry them off. Alright, so this coriander's had a good wash. I'm just going to take off the stems. We'll pop our leaf in this salad spinner. Just to dry them off. Now, the whole of the coriander is usable, the roots and everything, but I'm just going to use a small amount of this stem. And this can just go in while it cooks. We're going to save the leaf, and that's going to go in right at the end. Alright, you can see that those lentils are starting to drink up that water already. We'll just do one more little check. Yum. This is going to be really good. Alright, so basically I'm just going to let this bubble now for the next solid hour, and I'll be back every no more than 5 minutes to give it a stir. And I'm already going to turn this heat down another notch. So it started on the high heat on this pot's 150 degrees, and then I turned it down to 130, and now it's on 120. And when this starts to thicken up even more, I'll turn it down again to 110. But for now it's on 120, and just going to let that simmer away. Alright, so this has only been bubbling now no more than 5 minutes, and I can already see it needs a bit more water. I've got a jug of water boiled, so it's going to top that up a smidge. You know, it's got another 45-50 minutes to go at least, so I'm just going to keep that there, and each time I come back to look at it, we'll just keep an eye on the consistency of it. Okay. Alright, so we've now been bubbling for about 20 minutes, and this has thickened up again quite a bit. I'm just going to go with a slight bit more water, and that'll probably be the last of the water we add to this now. Those lentils are pretty well absorbed what they're going to absorb, and that'll reduce as everything else stews together. And I'm just going to turn this down again now. To 110 on this pot, and let that go about another 40 minutes. Alright, so I've had this bubbling now for about 50 minutes. Been back many times to give it a stir. It's now reduced down to a nice consistency, and you know, with about 10 minutes to go, I'm now just going to chop my coriander leaf, just roughly. I just left a few little sprigs aside for garnishing for the next 1 or 2 meals. And we'll just stir that leaf in. Oops, a bit of stem I didn't chop. Alright, so we just stir that in and we'll just let this simmer now for about another 10 minutes and do one final check for seasoning, and this is finished. Alright, so we've been boiling or simmering very slowly for about another 15 minutes, and we've got a good consistency. When this cools down, it'll thicken again, but it's really a really good consistency. So I'll just give it a little taste. Right. Just about. Absolutely perfect. Just a pinch more salt. Such good flavour, and this flavour will enhance as this cools down and rests. All stews and soups always taste better the next day, but this one is going to be really good. Alright, so I'll turn off that now. And we'll just let this cool down in the pot, which will take several hours, but we'll be eating a portion of this tonight while it's still hot. Okay, so we've prepared our lentil stew, and I've got a good 4 litres of lentil stew here, and there's so many different ways you can or meals you can serve with a lentil stew. Tonight I'm doing rice, lentil stew, green veg, bit of yogurt and a bit of tamarind sauce, but one of my other most favourite ways to serve this is with a baked potato with a bit of garlic butter or just butter, some grated tasty cheese, and a good spoon of lentils and some tabbouleh. And it's one of the yummiest ways to eat this. Anyway, tonight we're doing you might say a more traditional with some steamed rice and some greens. Got a couple of hot plates. Some freshly cooked. This is a mix of jasmine and basmati rice. Just a little portion of rice. Some lentils. I like just a small amount of natural yogurt. Make sure it's not any kind of sweetened yogurt. This is just natural yogurt. A little dob on top. touch of tamarind sauce, and we'll make this at another time, but this is a beautiful accompaniment to any kind of Indian dish. And just a few sprigs of coriander that I've saved. You know, not essential, but it just makes everything look really nice. And I've just got some steamed broccoli. And I won't be putting any butter on this. You know, I don't really think buttered vegetables go well with an Indian dish. But certainly some salt and pepper. Alright, and that's a beautiful vegetarian dinner.